I'm going to start it off like this. This is the energy right now. I have a hat on, having a bad hair day. No,
I wonder
son.
where he got that idea from.
My daughter was like, Dad, you do streams all the time. You never wear hats. I'm not a hat guy. I'm really not a guy that wears hats. So she's like, go on and throw one on. I'm like, you know what, sweetheart, Ilani, this is for you, baby. I'll put it on for you. And you let me know. You let me know afterwards. But what's going on, everybody? Thank you for tuning in into another episode. Wednesday nights at 9:30 with your boys reporting eligible. Tonight's topics, we'll discuss the Kirk Cousins MISLEAD situation, some news around the NFL, and some Atlanta Falcons training camp talk. Kind of, try to, spice things up. We're, about 2 weeks away from the start of training camp, and there are some underlying questions that we have for you, the folks. So hopefully everybody will chime in the chat. Hopefully everybody had a wonderful, wonderful 4th of July safe because I've heard some people blowing their hands off. And what the hell is going on with that? Like, we didn't all learn from the JPP situation. But needless to say, Bro Talk, how was your 4th of July weekend, man?
I don't even remember what I did.
Jesus.
Honestly. No, not like that. Hey, bring it down a notch. Hey, calmado. No, I was kind of, it was pretty low key. Tried to take my kids to fireworks. They're like, meh, unimpressed. I was like, oh, okay. But on Sunday, I did get to witness Mexico beat the USA. Gold Cup champs, back to back, baby.
So, good stuff. Good stuff.
What about you, man? How was that WWE event?
Yeah, man, it was lit. Took my daughter to her first live event, man. Monday Night Raw was here in Providence, Rhode Island, and of course, being from here, I couldn't pass that up. My daughter's a huge WWE fan, and it just like a year in the making, and they finally showed it in the area, and it was amazing. She had a great time. I had a great time being a wrestling fan, but it was awesome, man. Just to see her, just smiles and tears of joy. It's all worth it, man. So it was cool, pretty cool, man.
That's cool, man.
But yeah, man. Oh boy, let's get to the first things because the NFL is such a giving community, or NFL team. So we're going to share some news around the NFL, and one that hit today, if I'm not mistaken, and a big one, an advantage at that. Our Week 1 opponents, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, suffered a big loss to the blind side of Baker Mayfield, and that is Tristan Wirfs, who is going to start the season on the PUP list after going in for some microscopic knee surgery, if I'm not mistaken. Mm-hmm. So it's going to physically put him out. Of course, Tampa Bay being our opening day opponent at the Benz, I don't buy the notion that players don't look at outside noise. They don't pay attention to media or anything like that. But when news breaks like this, defense has to be licking their chops, right? Tristan Wirfs is one of the better left tackles, young left tackle, 26 years of age still. One of the top. I view it this way: Trent Williams, then Tristan Wirfs at that left tackle spot. It's big company that he's there. I got to put it out like that, and in fact, Baker Mayfield, he kept Baker Mayfield very, very clean, only allowed a 23.4% of pressure rate from the left side. So it's big shoes to fill. But what's your take on Tristan Wirfs, man, being out for the Bucs, man?
I mean, you summed it up. It's a huge loss. That's their best offensive lineman, played the right side. All-pro nods there, played the left side, all-pro nods there. He's that good. Like, he really is. And I hate to say it because he's on a division rival team, but the kid...
It is what it is.
The kid, top 3 left tackle. You forgot Jordan Mailata, by the way.
Yeah,
anyways.
That's okay.
Don't Miami. Come on, man. Anyways, we'll get to offensive line talk one of these weeks. But, no.
I'm sure Bones will be lurking.
Bones will be excited for that one. But no, Tristan Wirfs, you can't say enough good things, especially in the pass protection game. Yeah, exactly.
There he is.
It hurt. Yeah, you speak offensive lineman 3 times and Bones shows up in the stream, But
crazy.
Baker Mayfield, I feel like is going to be more on the run. A lot of Buccaneer fans, what I saw on Twitter, when I retweeted it and just reading the comments, they're like, "We'll be all right. Yeah, we'll be all right. Tristan Wirfs, we'll be all right." Like, come on, dog. let's be realistic. It's like if the Falcons were without Chris Lindstrom, knock on wood. I'm not
Yeah,
in
shit.
energy, but
Don't
it's
do that.
you can't underplay what Tristan Wirfs provides for
Hmm.
that offensive line. And you got two rookies that are looking to find their footing in week one. Leonard Floyd, a vet, looking to get double-digit sacks. It could be. We saw it last year, and I know a lot of fans are like, yeah, we're going to find their second stringer, and they're going to become a star, and then we'll never see him again, which is kind of the Falcons thing to do. But
Hmm.
it's a new season, right? Sports are fluid, guys. Hey, if you learn one thing from reporting eligible, it's sports are fluid. Things
Tell
change
they sure
every
do.
day, week to week, and year to year.
Absolutely, man. But yeah, to a guy also like Jeff Ulbrich, you got to be thinking creatively. How do we attack that left
Yes.
side now? That's security blanket, or that massive guy in Tristan Wirth not there. Got to test that unproven person that they signed off the street. I know they signed somebody off the street.
Yeah,
Just recently.
they're trying to get what's his name back. What was the guy's name that won a Super Bowl with them and then went with the Chiefs? What was his name?
Jesus. Ugh. I have no idea. I don't keep up
Oh,
with him.
they're over there talking about because he retired. They're like, oh, we got to call him and get him out of retirement.
Yeah.
Got one. Thank you. Thanks, love.
Look
No
at
dinner
that.
tonight, guys. I ate before the show, so I
Boo.
know we went out. My in-laws invited me to dinner. We couldn't say no. It's a free meal, so
Yeah. All the while, my wife's busting my balls over here. Let me run to the market to bring you cold cuts on your live stream. I'm like, the audacity. That's diabolical. I don't ever want to hear that again. Don't
W
you ever do
wife,
that again.
W wife.
I hate it. I hate it. I hate it, man. But yes,
Look at this.
Tristan
Look
Wirfs
at
out.
this. This is
Go ahead.
hilarious.
What do you got?
I'm feeling misled. We're talking about O-line
Oh
and not Trent.
shit! I
I mean, it ties in
like that.
perfectly. It ties in
It
perfectly.
does, right? Thank you, man. But hey, speaking of right, thank you so much for joining the stream this evening. Fat Boy, what's going on, man? Jones Bones, of course, a regular. Appreciate you. My mom's in the building. Feeling it, man. Thank you guys so much for joining us this evening. So, yes, some news around the NFL. Tristan Wirfs. And here's another one. And this is regarding our Atlanta Falcons, right? Falcons yesterday tabbed Alex Brown, who was the Ole Miss director of player personnel, as a scout here in Atlanta. Low key move by these Falcons, tapping into the SEC, bringing in somebody from Ole Miss. And if you're up with the Ole Miss Rebels, they had a fantastic draft of guys, or actually guys
A
getting
lot,
drafted
guys.
into the NFL. So hey, every advantage that you can have, absolutely you want it on your side. So Alex Brown now here with the Falcons. Guy used to he used to he was a GM, you mentioned.
Yeah, so before he got to Ole
Yep.
Miss, he was the director of player personnel at
Yep.
SMU as well.
SMU. That's what it
And then
was.
he got the promotion to general manager there in 22, which I
Hmm.
think they were still in the WAC conference before they got moved to the ACC. Exactly. You're going to like them. You're going to eat what I make you,
Oh
and you're going to
man.
like it.
Oh shoot, man! Uncle Steve's Lounge, man. What is going on? Everybody's favorite Uncle Steve's Lounge. Please, please, please tune in to Uncle Steve's Lounge Monday Minutia. I know a lot of his shows are going to get started back up now, especially as football season is inching closer. But he still puts out great content Sunday, Mondays, you name it. Uncle Steve has you covered with all your Atlanta Falcons news and up to date on everything else. So yes, man. So that's again, that's a little low key move there by the Falcons, which I mean, we were talking behind the scenes, man. There's interesting pieces in the Falcons front office that could happen at the end of the year. As we all know, Terry Fontenot is on his last year as Falcons GM. Kyle Smith is the assistant GM, and we bring this young man Alex Brown into the fold as well. So the Falcons have a collection of guys that know how to run and manage team, albeit some on the collegiate level. But what's to say, if Atlanta decides to part ways with Terry Fontenot, that Kyle Smith or Alex Brown maybe get elevated into that position? You don't know. Like we said, sports are fluid. Everything changes. So you just never know. You got to be open to the possibilities, right? So with that, what do you feel about a possible Kyle Smith upgrade over Terry, or to that situation? Let's just put it like that.
But, I mean, if we have a winning season this year and, like, we win the title, division title, and we make, maybe win one playoff game or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
I would find it very hard for Terry Fontenot to be let go
Yeah.
or, moved on from it. But
Mm-hmm.
that does open the door for Kyle Smith, right? Being the assistant, being here,
Absolutely.
right? Helping draft Bijan,
Yep.
Drake,
Yep.
guys like Bergeron, Michael Penix Jr.,
Mm.
guys that are now becoming key parts of our team. And, opportunities open up every year. There are typically GM openings every year.
Right.
And, Kyle is younger, but
Mm-hmm.
hey, the Jaguars just hired a kid that I think is younger than both of us
Yeah.
to be a GM of a football team. I'm jealous. Anyways.
Thank you.
It just all depends, I think, really how the season goes. But yeah, you brought this to my attention. I didn't even know that something like that
Yeah.
happened because
Mm-hmm.
I don't even think Atlanta beat writers had mentioned it and
Nothing
brought
yet.
it up because it's just an area scout, but it's a
Mm.
younger kid that's
Mm-hmm.
got experience in like leadership type roles like
Yeah.
GM,
GM. Mm-hmm.
director of player personnel. You can promote an area scout to something like that and begin to groom them to eventually take over or whatever plan you might have.
Yeah.
But this
Terry
kind of
Fontenot started like that, I believe, if I'm mistaken. He
yes,
worked his way through the ranks with the Aints.
he
So
was an area scout and then he worked his way up to assistant GM before getting the GM title with us.
right.
So we'll see.
Yeah. And right here to a point, it's called a succession plan, and I like that mentions right. And right, the word succession plan, that word started coming more to life last year, right? When Raheem was named Falcons head coach, he talked about succession plans, and he questioned succession plans back in 21 when he was with the team, and he talked to Arthur. He interviewed for the job before they gave it to Arthur. He said, "What's your succession plan?" And the team was kind of like at a, I don't know. And and fast forward to now, or last year, the succession plan was okay. You bring in a guy like Kirk. How do you start grooming the next guy to take over? Okay, you draft your quarterback of the future, Michael Penix Jr. So, and
Well,
all in all, succession
that'd be
plan
interesting
does
too if
make
Terry's
sense.
grooming someone to replace Kyle because this is a Terry hire.
It is a
That's
Terry hire.
it's part of Terry's staff.
Yes,
So it
hundred
would be
percent.
interesting if he kind of is hearing rumblings like people are liking what Kyle Smith's doing and he's potentially interviewing.
Yep.
Okay, let me get someone that I could
Yep.
potentially groom to replace him and be my right hand man. So
Yeah.
it's never a bad idea to have a plan in
Mm-hmm.
place. Plans don't always go according to plan, but if you're
Mm-hmm.
thinking ahead like Terry has been the past few years, you can help minimize any type of dip, with
Yeah.
whatever operation you need, to just continue run smoothly.
Gotcha. And for me, honestly, and I'll end it with this on this situation with Kyle Smith. I'm surprised that it's even taken this long for him to be elevated into a GM. I mean, we saw the work that we did with Redskins at the time. Chase Young, Deron Payne, Jonathan Allen. Three guys on that defensive line really started to shifting, the mentality there down in Washington. He comes to Atlanta, of course, all the draft picks that he's had a say or a say in also. So whatever it is, it's a win-win. It's a win-win for Atlanta. I see it that way. And if Kyle departs, hey, best of luck to you, brother. Oh boy,
Let's take. Hold on 1 second.
there it is. Yeah, I was gonna bring it up now. Go ahead,
Yeah.
put it.
Also, you want to be a franchise that gets poached for coaches and front office guys. Means you're hiring and developing the right guys. Still got to have a succession plan. Absolutely. Just like we talked about. You got to have a plan in place
Have to.
because if you see people with potential, they're not going to stick around because people will jump at the opportunity to elevate themselves. It's
Yeah,
not it's really hard. There are only 32 GM positions in the NFL, and if you have an opportunity, well, you're going to take it,
yeah.
right?
Look at the Rams. Les Snead came from Atlanta. Then Les Snead, I think he had Brad Holmes under his wing. Oh boy, and Brad Holmes, look at the fantastic things he's doing with Detroit. So yeah, man, succession plans are everything. Jones says, who has always had a succession plans on their coaching and front office staffs? The Ravens.
Always. And then that's why they've
Love the
been,
Ravens, man.
DaCosta
Yeah,
and
Ozzy.
Harbaugh. They've been there. I mean, how many defensive coordinators has Harbaugh churned out? To get potential opportunities elsewhere or assistant coaches.
Yeah,
He's just brought through the ranks. What's still crazy to me is when he was hired from Philadelphia. You typically see your offensive and defensive coordinators get jobs.
Yep.
This man was a special teams
Special teams guy. Yeah,
so he
absolutely,
sees
man.
the team as a whole, and why I think he's been so good for so long.
Mm-hmm. I'm excited to see how Zach Orr, their defensive coordinator, does this year with the influx of talent that they had. That kid's going to be elevated. He's going to be probably a hot coaching candidate come next year. So some team's going to reap the benefit of that. We saw Mike McDonald exit.
While we're on this subject,
yeah, sure.
If you had to pick a team that could potentially have a coaching opening, even before the season starts, right? Just making a prediction. Mm-hmm. Are there 3 teams that just pop off in your head that could have coaching opportunities?
I look at Kevin Stefanski with Cleveland as one.
Okay.
That's a possibility.
Didn't think of that one. Okay.
Yeah. You know something? The Miami Dolphins and Mike McDaniel.
That's one. Yep.
The clock is ticking on that one.
That one. You know who else? Brian Dable in New York.
Oh my God, in New York. Yeah. Giants. Eric just mentioned that. Absolutely, I agree. Jones says Miami, Indy, and the Giants.
Indy. Look, if Anthony Richardson can just piece it together, or if they go with Daniel Jones, I don't care. I'm not a Colts fan. If they can get their quarterback situation right, I think they're contending for a division title. See, even your son knows. I told your dad I have that kind of influence. He saw my tweet. He saw my tweet on quarterbacks, and he's like, you know what? I want to be like Bro Talk.
You know something? Yeah. Oh, we're gonna get to that one. This comment here has a belts to asses scenario for me.
Hey man,
when I get home,
doesn't he still live there? Doesn't he still live there?
He's right downstairs. Cabroncito, I'll get you in a few. But moving on for sure, man. Oh man, like I mentioned, training camp about 2 weeks away. Falcons gearing up for the gruesome 2025 campaign. It's going to be a great one. I'm going to manifest that. It's going to be a great one. Falcons are loaded with talent. Yes, I said loaded. On paper, the Falcons have brought in a really good roster. Good. You know, they have put together a great roster, or a good roster at that offensive and defensive side. But leads to the question, training camp prediction, surprise cuts, and who could be a surprise player that makes the roster that you weren't even thinking about. So this is one that folks in the chat, man, please chime in as much as you want. Bro Talk, I'm gonna start with you, man. What is a surprise cut for you and these Atlanta Falcons, man?
So I've got 3. One of them is a real long shot, but a lot of people would be like, okay, I'll leave that one for the end. So my first one, Casey Washington. We just saw Jace McClellan get cut.
Right.
And if you're not a special teams guy,
yep.
Hey, I don't remember Casey being a gunner. That was Kadero Hodge and who else? You know?
Mm-hmm.
He's not a personal protector in special teams. Sure, he had a little bit of chemistry with Mike, but you know Mike, he elevates his receivers.
He does.
Right? He did it at Washington, right? Got Odunze picked in the top 10, Polk early second round, McMillan, you know, all those guys. That's someone I could see get cut, especially if Nick Nash has a great camp.
Yeah, baby. Triple Crown man himself.
Hey, Nick Nash has a good camp. Anything's possible, because you also have to look at the contracts, right? Which one's minimally going to affect the Falcons if they're cut, right? So the second one, the second one I look at is Jordan Fuller.
Oh,
a non-guaranteed contract, and if DeMarco Hellams comes along and they like this kid Malik Vernon out of Iowa State, who may be transitioning into a linebacker role but can play safety.
Yep.
You have Kevin King, who played safety really well in the dime package.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm saying. He doesn't have a guaranteed contract. And especially if Xavier Watts wows you and you're like, he has to be on the field.
He has to be on the field, yeah. Yeah. I like it.
Hey, Jordan, are you going to play special teams? Probably not.
Doubt it.
Probably not. And my last one. Our boy Troy Anderson.
Ah!
Did I take one of yours?
Yeah, no, that's exactly. Yeah. Troy Anderson.
Yeah, so Troy Anderson, you know, you signed Divine Diablo, right? They're probably going to compete for the spot. Mm-hmm. You drafted J.D. Bertrand, who played in that role, especially when Nate Landman last year wasn't playing. Him and Caden played next to each other. Is it ideal having JD, who's essentially Caden Ellis but younger? No, but you have Josh Woods, who's a special teams guy who you probably don't want to see on defense, but if Troy's hurt all the time, I know they love the athleticism. I know he's putting it together. So I think Raheem Morris is going to have a really hard time, and Terry is going to have a really hard time to cut him. So that would be the most surprising. But at the same time, don't be surprised if he's cut.
Got it. I love it. And that was my guy, too. That was actually my number one guy. It was Troy Anderson. I had another guy, too, Casey Washington, as well. And I firmly believe that it's the Nick Nash effect. I think that he can really turn some heads in training camp and really solidify himself as that fourth wide receiver on the roster. So which leaves one more player to be cut. Boy. Oh, boy, oh, boy. This one's not going to be – this one –
Who's it going to be?
This is – I'm probably going to get fucking dragged for this one. But
let me hear it.
Clark Phillips.
Dude, I thought about him. And I was like, oh, maybe not. Explain, because I think we're on the same wavelength.
I think, it's so all of a sudden you take a position that was in need and now there's a logjam because of the draftees that were brought in and the versatility of these guys, right? Can Billy Bowman play on the outside? No, but he's going to be primarily in the nickel. Can you use Xavier sometimes in certain looks and have him play on the outside? Yeah. Notre Dame flirted with that just a couple times. Really? So there is versatility. If you look back at the tape, there is tape out on him playing on the outside. He's not going to come up and press you or nothing like that, but he's more of that. He played off-man tactic, and that was very seldom. It was something to that effect. That's it. But Clark Phillips, for me, I just think he just gets buried in the depth chart. Unfortunately, you give guys like Kevin King that return. No threat from D. Alford, but he is a name, of course, that you got to throw in there. Everybody's fan favorite, Kobe Bryant, also was added to the team. I don't think he's going to unseat, Mike Hughes. Mike Hughes did a fantastic job last year, and I think he can grow with the system under Jeff Ulbrich. For those reasons, I just feel like Clark Phillips might be on the outside looking in. But something like that, he might be practice squad eligible like ASAP.
It's just another player, unfortunately, that was drafted while Arthur Smith was the head coach. I think Ryan Nielsen was the defensive coordinator who probably had some influence, right? You don't go get all these corners if you – I'm not going to say that because you want competition, but –
you do.
I know it's not about the size, right, about the player. It's, the size of the fight and whatever. But – when he was on the field, he got picked on a lot because of his size. And I like Clark Phillips because he's got some phenomenal footwork, fluid hips, great instincts on the ball. We talked about this. If he was 2 or 3 inches taller, we might be talking about a first-round pick that year. And, unfortunately, the Lord did not bless him with, more height. And I would hate to see him go because I've always been a Clark Phillips believer. Okay. But I don't think it's out of the realm of possibilities.
It's not. And then you think, you've been with the team 3 years, I think, already. Why haven't you cracked, the starting lineup? If the coaching staff has that much faith in your ability, you allow a guy like really Mike Hughes, who's a journeyman, to supplant you per se. So it's little things like that just get me thinking.
Bones brings up a good point in corner because if you cut corner, you're flirting with it. We know Mike Ford is a corner, and he's not going to see the field unless it's like a super emergency. But he was signed to be a special teams guy, and that's his position, is corner.
It's corner,
right. Then you have Mike Hughes, you have Kevin King. Who's also still listed as a corner, but he's going to be primarily playing a safety. Kobe Bryant, Natron Brooks, fan favorite from last year.
Yep.
He's a special teams return man. So
these guys got value.
There might be, because I think what do we typically carry? 5 corners?
5.
And then Billy Bowman. Then you talk about the nickel. Well, there's Billy Bowman.
Who's listed
as a safety.
This one. I think this was his rookie year.
Yeah, but hold on. Oh, I liked Okuda, and I
Yeah, me
think
too.
he just had a little bit of injury bug that plagued him, and it's
Mhm.
kind of hard. You look at him in college, and you knew he needed to be drafted in the top 10. Not
Mhm.
a single penalty during his career, excellent footwork, great ball skills, all this stuff, and it just one of
Plummeted.
those weird things that just it didn't translate to the NFL. Why? It might be the injuries, and he's on the Texans now, I think, still, and he's still struggling.
Mhm.
You
Yeah.
know, you just never know with these kind of things. Maybe Clark Phillips flourishes elsewhere, right? We've seen that happen. Someone gives him an opportunity. Oh, Brent Grimes, a lot of people like to compare him to
Oh
Brent
yeah, Brent
Grimes.
Grimes. Yeah.
Brent Grimes went to Miami, got to play the outside corner, got a pick when it was thrown to Megatron. You just never know, man. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility. Do I think it's less likely?
Mhm.
Yes, because of his technical work. He's a
Mhm.
technician, and Rob being a secondary guy. What's his name? Jerry Gray. All the secondary coaches we have, they're going to try and find him a spot on the field. But
Let's give another one. I mean, I'm seeing a lot of D'Angelo Malone. It wouldn't be surprised if he
it
gets
wouldn't be
cut.
surprised. He's on his last year of his deal. But the thing that D'Angelo Malone the reason he might get kept is because he is a special teams guy. He's been a special teams guy since his rookie year. He knows how to
Yeah.
play special
No
teams
good.
really well. He goes down the field, makes some tackles. It's just edge rusher just really hasn't panned out. And don't
Yeah.
put him off ball, right?
No, don't. Please don't. God, please. I'll throw another name. Taquan Graham. Maybe.
You know what? I wouldn't be surprised because that defensive tackle room got full quick. And we're
Very,
looking to get younger.
very true.
We're looking to get younger. Do we need a vet? That's why we have David Onyemata. And the only reason David Onyemata, in my opinion, is still on this team because of his contract.
Yeah.
But he's the vet, right, in that room. And then you got Morgan Fox, who you signed. You're going to keep him. Honestly, Taquan Graham is another guy that just keeps getting hurt.
Yeah. He was playing great last year,
He
but then
was playing great last year, and then he got hurt again.
Yep.
I wouldn't be surprised if old Laquel London beats him out.
No.
Contavious Street.
Contavious Street, right? But here's a surprise name that might make the roster. And CJ Hill mentioned it earlier, but Simeon Barrow Jr. out of Miami is a guy that's turning heads, has had some solid OTA, some solid practices under his belt, gets knocked for his size and stuff like that. But what you like from interior defensive linemen are long arms, and he has those. And when you've seen him, put his arsenal to work, this guy's got a quick first step, and he gets to the backfield. He rips really good, and he bull rushes us very, very well as well. So he's constantly in the backfield.
Well,
in Miami,
that would translate to the attacking front that we're going to be going to.
Exactly.
You're going to just shoot your gap. You got the A gap, you got the B gap. Shoot it. Get up the field and beat your guy, and then go find the ball.
Yeah, and that's one thing he did very, very well in Miami. And again, it just speaks to how great the Falcons draft process was, because this was a value draft, and goddamn it, these undrafted free agents came a plenty, and he's one of them as well. So, one name for you, another name you want to throw out there might be a surprise to make the team. Simeon Barrow Jr. we just spoke about.
When we talk about the surprise cut, in relation to that, I mentioned his name, Malik Vernon, safety out of Iowa State. He's got that Divine Diablo type body speed, but can hit you really hard. Translate, mainly played in the box as a safety.
Yep.
Can cover well. It's got the speed. That wouldn't be a surprise. Like if they cut Troy, that would be the guy I think would fill in, learn, develop, work on his skills under Caden Ellis, maybe behind Diablo, be a special teams guy, and then work his way up the depth chart, because Caden Ellis is on a contract year. If he has another year like last year, I expect Caden to get extended. He's going to get extended.
Absolutely.
But if Divine doesn't work out and you like Malik, well, hey, here you go, Malik.
Yeah, Malik, he fits the bill. 6'3", 6'4", 220 plus pounds. He could add a little bit more mass to his, to his body, to his bulk and stuff like that. But this is a guy you definitely take a flyer in, like you mentioned. He's that box style guy. And what is it, right? With safeties converting to linebackers in the Falcons, Foye Oluokun from several years ago. One guy, Malik Vernon, can also, just stay on that path.
And Olbrich is familiar with it, right?
Sure is. Yeah,
Jamie Sherwood.
That's our Divine Diablo right there.
Yeah, he got his payday because he converted and was able to apply what was taught to him, and he played well.
Very good. In that, oh man, you just you get it turning, right? I believe CJ Mosley's still a free agent, right?
He
Going
retired.
into trade, he retired.
Yes, he retired.
He did retire. I did. Okay, so that was true. Okay, I thought that was bogus shit. So
no,
I'm glad
he
you put it.
He put out a video. He put out a video that he did say he retired.
Got it. All right, because I was gonna say that could be a late camp addition. Kind of like how the Falcons are pretty active in that late August, early September. Bring a guy like that knows the Jeff Ulbrich system. As you mentioned, Malik Verdon, another guy that I think we could both agree on is Nick Nash to make the roster.
Yeah.
When's
the last time an NFL team had like 5 or 6 undrafted free agents make a roster? When's the last time something like that happened?
My goodness,
it's really unheard of, right? Because
rare.
They're undrafted for a reason,
right?
But we're all like salivating at the mouth because we only had 5 picks, and then we go and get all these guys. Because you could say the same thing, like, what's his name? Joshua Simon making it as the 3rd tight end.
Sure. Oh,
we don't have a 3rd tight end. Don't even bring up Felipe Franks' name. Get him out of here.
No, that's Uncle Steve's guy. If he's still in the chat, Uncle Steve, that's your guy. 10 toes down.
Gosh. Anyways, so Joshua Simon, all these guys. What's his name? Joshua Gray.
Yeah.
Backup center. Backup guard.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy. I don't think I've ever remember seeing, and maybe because I'm oblivious and I'm so Falcons, I see what's going on in the league, but I'm not as hyper focused as I am on the Falcons. So maybe it has happened. I just don't know.
There's another kid that we brought into on the offensive line. His mom started following me on Twitter. Michael Gonzalez.
Oh, yeah. Michael Gonzalez. I remember you talking to me. What? Louisville kid, right?
Louisville kid. He's a center.
Okay. Hey.
More competition there.
More competition. He may be a practice squad guy, but hey, it almost feels like there's a youth movement with the Falcons, right? We've been this team that's just been old, and then it's like, I think Raheem and Terry may have taken a step back and be like, dude, we got to bring in some young blood.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yep.
Right there,
Eric, he's a Ledford guy.
He's a Ledford guy.
Yep. That's it, Eric. Bring him in.
Bring him in. He's going to learn. He's going to know how to run outside zone.
Yeah. Where's heavily, please. Yeah, where's Bones, right?
I might have struck a nerve there.
Sheesh, man. All right. So another guy that could be a surprise to make the roster. But this one, I think the reason why he makes it is because, A, the talent is there. He plays a prime position on defense as a corner. I'm talking Kobe Bryant. And you got to protect him. You got to bring him in. You got to at least have him make the roster because he is as good as gone if he hits the practice squad.
He really is. Who are some cornerback needy teams right now? I feel like the Commanders need depth.
They need depth. Yep.
They need depth. So do the Cowboys.
Well, they got who do they got? They
got Trey Amos, but I think he might be starting.
Sandström
is going to move into the nickel, which that's what he played at Michigan. Even though he played really well outside.
The Giants, Giants are needy.
Giants, yeah. Deontay Banks isn't really doing much. There are a lot of teams that could use a corner. A lot of teams.
Detroit.
No, they drafted. So remember last year they drafted Terrion Arnold and then they drafted Ennis Rakestraw in the second round.
That's where Rakestraw went. Right.
Yep, and I was pissed because I really wanted Rakestraw.
And he was out of Missouri?
Mizzou, yep.
Mizzou, yep.
Both Mizzou guys got drafted last year.
Yeah. But yeah, Kobe Bryant would be a it's a surprise, but it's not a surprise, right? Because you expect talent like that, to obviously make it. Obviously there is some things that Kobe needs to work up in, and it's more physical more than it is the ability to play the cornerback position.
Oh, yeah.
Small framed guy, but you got to protect him. You have to have him make this roster if he's indeed going to be your plan for the future. So put him on the roster, let him eat up a roster space, and so be it, man. So be it.
Another one that I could see, because of how he performed last year, Khalid Kareem.
Oh, wow. Limited action. Yeah.
Khalid Kareem, when he came in and he got signed in practice squad and then to the active roster, dude, he was setting the edge really nice in the run, and he was getting up the field. Now, he didn't, provide the stats, but he was active. Like, I like what I saw out of him as a rotational guy.
Yeah.
Not being that guy, but being, hey, come in, give us a couple reps, and then let the guys come back in.
Yeah, he debuted against the Saints. I think that was his first game.
No, who?
The Aints. Excuse
Okay.
me.
Oh, my
Pardon
bad.
my French.
I couldn't understand you there.
Yeah, man. So yeah, he debuted against that team. Yeah, and he actually had a decent game.
Yeah.
Overall, and for the rest of the year, or a rotational piece. But I like that one. Yeah, kind of an you hate to use the word afterthought, right? Because
wasn't he a Notre Dame guy? Kareem? I want to say
question.
he was, because then you look at the edge room, right? Because if you have Trice, who'll be on the roster,
Notre Dame,
Ebiketie, Leonard Floyd, James Pierce Jr., Jalen Walker, and then if you have Kareem, that's 6. That would leave D'Angelo Malone as the odd man out unless they carry 7. 7 edge rushers. Wouldn't that be nuts?
Yeah. So per ESPN, on a 3-4 base defense, as the Sam linebacker, he's 4th behind Walker, Ebiketie, Trice, and then Kareem.
Interesting. So he's a Sam.
Yep.
Yeah, because Walker makes sense. Trice makes sense.
Yep.
Ebiketie listed as. I never thought Ebiketie as the Sam would work out, because as a Sam, you're on the strong side for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
You're a strong. you're that guy that sets the edge and is not going to get moved by a tight end or someone coming to trap you or reach you or whatever the case. And Ebiketie, those bigger guys, they latch onto him. That was it. That was it, man. I thought he should have been. It's different for coordinators. Some people call it the will. Some people call it the jack. Whoever the opposite guy is of the Sam in the scheme, whatever they call it, that's where I feel like he should have been more on the weak side.
Yeah, on the weak side. True. Very true. Very true. Any more? Anybody else that you think would be a?
No, I just went through it, and I think those are all the guys. You hit on a couple that I was on the fence on. Couple I think we're expecting to get cut.
Yeah,
D. Alford. But,
any chance Younghoe Koo?
He really has to poop the bed, man, if he's going to get cut. He has the injury to kind of lean on, like, hey, coach, I wasn't playing 100%. I was playing to, help the team out when he really wasn't, a la Kirk Cousins. Anyways, but if he has a really bad camp, and what's his name? What is the other cat's name? Lenny Craig. Yeah. Lenny Leg Craig. If he has a great camp and Koo doesn't, that's cap savings right there with Koo. He's one of the highest paid kickers in the league right now.
Very good, very good. Last question before we move on. Looking at the roster, if you could swap the skill set of one of our best players to one of those rookies, who would it be? That's
interesting.
I don't know how to take this one.
If I could swap skill set, like swap the vet with the rookie, or are you talking about copying the skill set to a rookie? Because I think that's what your question is.
I think it is too. If you could swap.
So if you could copy someone on our roster and give it to the rookie, who would it be?
I think right off the rip, Leonard Floyd right to James Pierce, man.
No. Give me James Pierce already better than Leonard Floyd, man.
Well, I'm saying, like, if you're translating that skill from vet to rookie, then that's what I mean. He says copy.
Yeah, I guess so, because they're almost identical, and Floyd is more of a finesse guy, whereas Pierce, that was one of his knocks. He's like, Pierce doesn't have a bag. Well, he still gets to the quarterback.
He still gets to the quarterback. Damn right.
Man, for me, who would it be? I guess. Dang, that's hard. Mm-hmm. Give me a second. I mean, yeah, you would elevate Watts, because Watts was compared to Jesse Bates. I thought of that one, but I was like, they're already comparable to speed. Okay, that's a good point. Jesse and Xavier to speed up the process. That's a good point. So we have two of the best.
What's going on, brother?
Two of the best safeties in the league.
Yeah.
Man.
Oh my God. Pitch to the undrafted tight end we got from.
Oh my God. Could you imagine that? Blocking And Pitts' athletic ability, that's a good one.
Look, I got a crazy. I don't give a shit. I'm not gonna call it crazy, man. I know what I study and I know what I look and I know what I see in players when I see them, dude. But that kid from South Carolina, I know a lot of people, are high on him particularly, because of the size, the length, the speed. If I had a pro comp, I would. I don't know if I told you or not, but it would be Jared Cook for me. And in South Carolina, when Simon was used, he primarily was a possession style receiver as a tight end. In order to make the team, he's going to learn how to fucking block. And they're going to ask, you need to block. Don't know if he can do that right away, but if the Falcons
got the
see enough,
size.
he has the size. He can run, the catch radius, and he's that long speed. That long speed guy. It just reminds me a lot of fucking Jared Cook in from the years with the Rams. Give this kid time to develop. I think he can turn into something special, but just not right now. A lot of people be like, "Oh, throw him in right now." Hell no. He can't block. He cannot block. South Carolina did not have this guy blocking. South Carolina was not a run-first team. They were a pass-first, pro-style passing offense in college. That's it. That's his call right now. That would be it for him. That would be fucking it for him.
There's a good one by DB as well. Lindstrom to Jack Nelson to replace McGarry. Now, think about this.
That's
Lindstrom's flaw, if he has one, is sometimes he does get beat on pass rushes.
Yeah.
Someone with active hands that can keep his hands away from him. We saw it. Milton Williams always comes to my mind. The double swipe on Lindstrom. I think one of his 2 sacks was given up to Milton Williams. And yeah, I mean, it would be good. Our run blocking would be elite, but that's Caleb McGarry's strength is run blocking. Right?
Yeah, run blocking. 1,000%. He's a mauler in the run game, is just a little bit passive on the pass protection.
Man, I don't know who else.
No, I think we could.
I mean, unless you want to copy Drake into Nick Nash, but they're almost identical as well.
That would be fucking dope. But now we'll end it there. We'll end it there. That's fun though. That was a good question by Knuckles, man. Appreciate you, buddy. All right, time to
We're gonna talk about this again.
Time to break out the Kleenex and wipe the tears from the eyes. Kirk Cousins drama unfolds yet again on another season of QBs. This one highlighting Kirk Cousins and his time in Atlanta. Excellent documentary on Netflix for those that have watched it. And we apologize in advance if we do spoil a few things.
Yeah, spoiler alerts ahead. Yes. So if you haven't seen it and you don't want spoilers, this is the time to mute. You can stay here and watch our facial reactions, but there are spoilers coming. I haven't seen the whole season. I've only seen episode 1, so I'll only be able to touch on it. But Kirk does touch on the touchy subject right there.
The touchy subjects, man. So let's highlight what was refreshing, right? Just to use that word to be kind. If Kirk's a good guy, religious background. He has a great family, but go ahead.
I was going to say, you may not like Kirk, the football player, and what he did or didn't do, but Kirk as a human being, I think is one of the better people. Like someone you want on his side. He does mean well.
Yeah.
Now,
just doesn't know how to shut the hell up.
That's a thing. That's the thing. But continue. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, it really gives you, well, the first few episodes really give you an in-depth look at Kirk Cousins, the family man, obviously the football player, beautiful family, beautiful wife and kids. And, just really taking us through their time and their transition from Minnesota to Atlanta. The shock value that is all of that, having talked about leaving Minnesota and just say, hey, wherever we land is where we go. And Atlanta was the calling. Were they shocked? I think they were shocked. Kirk Cousins did in fact mention or admit that he didn't have a desire to leave Minnesota and was adamant on the contractual parts of between him and Minnesota. And it seemed like Kirk was trying to counter, his means to Minnesota. Minnesota was firm. They were like, no, this is your offer. Kind of a taking and leaving approach.
The thing about it was he wanted a multi-year deal like he got in Atlanta. And Minnesota was willing to come close to the average value that he wanted. But they were not willing to commit long term, which is what Kirk wanted because they knew they needed to get younger.
Yeah.
The problem was he didn't know Atlanta wanted to get younger too. And I don't think Atlanta knew they wanted to get younger too until they really started getting into the draft process and were like, okay, this Michael Penix guy, he's, I think Raheem really fell in love with him once he started seeing his throwing motion, the tight spiral, the speed. You know who it reminded him of? Besides Matt Ryan?
Michael Vick?
No. Matthew Stafford,
homer.
Matthew Stafford, who he was just with in LA.
Right.
And how long of a career has Matthew Stafford had? Mm-hmm. In Detroit, a team that was always terrible, but always in it because of him, and then getting traded to LA and eventually winning a Super Bowl in his first year there. So I think that's where he really fell in love with it, and he kind of, Terry, if you look at next year, it's not looking as great if Kirk doesn't pan out. And
it was all part of the succession plan. Sustainable success is what Terry Fontenot and Raheem kept talking about last year. So Kirk really walked into just a situation where, listen, man, sure, we're gonna pay you, but shouldn't surprise you, man. 36 coming off an Achilles. We look at bringing in somebody that you could potentially groom. Raheem talked about in 21 when he interviewed, like I mentioned earlier, with Arthur, what's your plan? But what I did leave out was he asked about the quarterback position. And what was your succession plan for Matt Ryan at the time? And, of course, the front office said, I don't know. And
we saw how that worked out for 3 years.
Obviously. Exactly. 3 years of fucking misery. And then, Raheem, now entrusted as the coach, wasn't going to allow that to happen. So, and for me, for Atlanta, I think it was a win-win. You get a guy that could potentially, bring you hope, even though it was cloudy because of the Achilles, but also secure you for the future, which we're looking at now.
And you want to know the crazy part is we were all so hyper-focused on the Achilles, but something Kirk admitted in the first episode was the offensive scheme.
Yes.
It was the opposite. He said his Achilles was fine. He's like, I can play it.
He did mention the ankle wasn't.
The ankle, the flexion, and all that.
Yeah.
But it was more confusing to him because they asked him. Like one of the guys, the cameraman or somebody was like, hey, what's the offense look like?
Yep.
He's like, it's like starting over.
Yeah.
And we all thought, right? Yep. Kevin O'Connell, Zach Robinson, Sean McVay.
That tree.
Mm-hmm. Both under the tree, right? So you're like, oh, they're going to get a lot of similarities here. A lot of similarities. Apparently, I'm not paying attention enough to Minnesota's offense because Kirk was like, there are 45 different ways, pre-snap motions and shifts that Zach has in his offense.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently, Kevin O'Connell doesn't have that many.
Right.
And that's the Mike McDaniel effect, right?
It sure is.
And that's kind of how some of the offenses are starting to operate. Mm-hmm. And Kirk had a learning curve. He kept bringing it up.
That up. Yeah.
Motion, shift, you're there. Okay. And then we get to week 1. And then the one play they highlighted, I was wondering what they were going to highlight, was the Ross Dwelley fumble. And we all gave Ross Dwelley crap.
Was it Dwelley or was it Warner?
No, it was Dwelley.
It was Dwelley?
Because he was tight end 3. Pitts was on the sideline on that play. It was Warner and Dwelley. Yep. And we were all like, Ross Dwelley, what are you doing? Get off our roster. And then come to find out, Kirk was like, it's my fault.
Yeah.
I called for the ball and then motioned you when I should have motioned you and then called for the ball.
Yep.
And at that point, when he put his hand up and said, stop. Ross is looking to get to his point. So Ross Dwelley, from all Falcon fans, we are sorry. It was not your fault.
Right. And that's crazy,
and
right?
He kept bringing it up.
Yeah.
Motion, shift. Dude, like we expect Kirk Cousins, the guy that we saw in season 1 of quarterbacks who takes his craft seriously, and I'm not saying he wasn't, be like, oh my God, this is a lot. Mm-hmm. This is a lot. And then imagine Zach Robinson saying, yeah, we had to hold back the playbook, but now we're opening it up even more. Yeah. What does that say about Michael Penix Jr.?
Oh boy, the retention plug. I call it the retention plug. What you retain in information, it's on there pretty tight. The kid, because that was a concern when I saw that tidbit right there. I'm like, wow, man. I wonder how Penix is going to adjust to all the pre-snap motion and all of that if Kirk's struggling with it. And Penix, of course, at the time hadn't seen any field time. But yeah, you started to wonder. But we had a conversation on that, of course, the full off season. To really just study the playbook, the nuances of it, and also, you know what? Now, the roles reversed. Now it's Kirk backing him up. Hopefully, Kirk is, obviously helping him in some way, shape, or form. Try to learn the playbook a little bit more.
And, one thing that Kirk said is like, oh, if I would have known they were going to draft a quarterback in the first round, that may have persuaded me differently. I may have thought about it. Like, bro, stop. You're a nice guy, but you're a terrible liar.
Facts.
Money talks, and you were coming to Atlanta because we were willing to pay.
Absolutely.
Like, come on now. You weren't staying in Minnesota. We loved Minnesota. I'm sure you guys did.
Yeah.
But hey, you were the guy that started the fully guaranteed contracts.
You sure did. Yeah, first
you were the first one. I remember seeing that and being like, what?
He got
fully guaranteed?
Yeah, man. Yeah. But isn't it funny how faith is, or how things just come in full circle? Because he talks about, I felt misled. Yeah, you know what? You know who felt the same way? Probably RG3 back in 2012. He was a second overall pick in that draft.
You get drafted in the fourth round, and then
then you get drafted in the fourth round. So you're like, huh? Imagine RG3 in that situation. Why is this organization doing this?
Yeah, why did they draft another guy when I'm supposed to be the guy?
I'm supposed to be the guy, right? And now you're in Atlanta thinking you're the guy, but you're 36 years of age coming off an Achilles, and there's really Matt Ryan was gone, so there's no Matt Ryan backing Kirk Cousins up. That would have never happened in a perfect world.
No,
and there was nobody really candidate worthy of entrusting as Kirk's backup.
Well,
Michael Penix was the choice, had to be the choice.
Well, and I haven't seen this episode, but I've seen the rumblings on social media on how he admits that his shoulder was messed up. The play we all talked about against the Yanks, right?
Play. Yes.
That was the play. McGarry tripped on Lindstrom's foot. Yep. He gets walloped, and the shoulder was never right. He read Drew Brees' book, and something that I can't remember what quarterback it was. I think it was Dan Marino or one of the greats,
Doug
right?
Flutie.
It was Doug Flutie. Yes, you're correct.
Yep.
It doesn't matter how much better you are than the backup. You don't let them see the field, right? And that's what Kirk had in his mind the whole time. They drafted him in the first round. He's obviously going to be the guy. I can't let him see the field, so I'm going to tough it out. And another thing that Joe Patrick said that a lot of people were like, well, then that's on the coaching staff. They should have benched him. They should have talked to the medical doctors. Apparently, you cannot force a player to go see medical and get evaluated.
Shout out Joe Patrick, 1990.
Yeah, shout out Joe Patrick for that little tidbit.
Great work, man. Yep.
Because it's like, oh, so you have to take it at the surface level. It's like, Kirk, are you good? You're like, yeah, I'm good. Yeah. And Raheem, seeing Kirk all the way back in Washington work as a professional, he's like, okay, I'm going to take Kirk's word. But then you start to kind of see it's like the performance is declining. And Raheem, you're on the cusp of playoffs. And right at that point, it was too late. It should have been a game or two sooner. But Raheem was like, enough's enough. Forget the 2-year plan. It's happening now.
It's happening now.
It's happening now.
And, looking at, watching it after that week 5 victory against the Saints and then Tampa Bay, Kirk was even doubting himself that he wasn't playing up to his caliber of play, right? They show conversations and phone calls and voicemails, hey, listen, I'm not playing well, I don't know what's going on, I yada, yada, yada. So, Kirk little by little was sealing his own faith. I think from the beginning.
I think I saw this on Twitter. It's like, honestly, if he would have just been up front, be like, look, my shoulder's not right. I need to sit out a few weeks. If that would have given more trust to the coaching staff to say, okay, Kirk, let's get you right. We're going to leave Mike in there, but then we're going to pull him back to get you back in there, because then the plan would have still been, let's get Kirk back in there.
Mm-hmm.
That may have not happened because of Penix lit it up, and it was like, it's hard to pull him off. That's what was Kirk's fear. But at the same time, they kept telling him, you're the guy, you're the guy, you're the guy. We want you to be the guy. And I don't think they were lying.
No.
And if he would have been up front and we were still in a playoff push, they'd been like, Kirk, get in there. We know you can take us to the playoffs. Yep. Which I thought they could. We were on that trajectory. And then the injury happened, and then he lied, and then it just got worse and worse and worse. And that's what left a sour taste in all of our mouths because it's like, dude, like we haven't tasted playoffs since 2017. We were right there, and it feels like he just took it away from us.
Yeah, he did. Yep. The selfish part of him took it away because that was a fucking
Some
selfish.
people like to say it's like, oh, it's the competitive in me. Yeah,
No.
I'm a competitor too.
Yeah, but
I know when I'm hurt.
Right's right. Yeah,
I know
gotta
when
tap
I'm
out.
hurt. Look, I play flag football. I used to play tackle football, high school, all that good stuff. When I know I'm a detriment to my team, I want to win more than I want to play.
Mm-hmm.
You just got to eat your pride and say, you know what? I'm hurting the team. That's the quote unquote leader that we were looking for in Kirk Cousins, right? The you like that, getting fired up on the field. Hey, man, there's nothing wrong with eating your pride and say, I'm hurting this team. I came here to take them to the playoffs, and I'm hurting them. Let me pull myself out. But your pride got in your way, and again, you took it from us, snatched it from us.
This one's for you. This is an awesome switch right here. Did you see Solo Leveling live action on Netflix?
What? No way. When did they announce that? I'm skeptical because Solo Leveling, they're going to have to really like One Piece. Side note, One Piece live action is like, it's kind of on the cusp. Some people like it, some people don't. I'm kind of like, don't make it live action because of how they've done the animation and then what's to come in season 3 whenever that drops. So I have my reservations.
Gotcha. And and going back to the Kirk Cousins situation and the lying and all that betrayal bullshit, he knew that if his ass would have hit the bench, he wasn't going to see, the field again. And you know what? He actually mentions that in the piece because I binge watched the hell out of it.
Oh, did you?
I did. I ended up finishing it. So Atlanta really gives him the full confidence, the opportunity to just right his wrongs. Really, after he went after that stretch with all those INTs, those 9 INTs, Atlanta still had faith in him, but it's just faith was sealed. Obviously, after that Oakland game, but you really get to hear the words. I don't want to reveal the words, but you really get to see it there. That's when Raheem was like, "Yeah, it's time. It's time."
And you know what? Raheem had to face the backlash from the fans and from the media and from Atlanta media because it was like, you could have made the decision. And he's probably like, yep, I could have. And I trusted him to be honest with me. Because all this is also relationships, guys.
It is.
You got to be open and honest with you. Just like anything in life. If you're not open and honest, you're gonna think one thing, but another thing's actually happening. And that's where trust is broken. And I feel like Raheem was like, you broke my trust, man.
Ah, man. CJ, excuse me. Rod, what's going on, brother? I'll get to you in 1 second. CJ said I grew some respect for Raheem after watching it, to be honest. Yeah, Raheem was he was...
Really? I can't wait to get to that. I can't wait to get to that part then.
Yep. Things that can get you fired as a coach, Rod is mentioning. But yeah, man, it's a documentary worth watching. 100%. It gives you such an insightful look at that whole drama, and like CJ said, it makes you have a little bit more respect for Coach Raheem after it's all said and done, man. Let's see. Craig says the credit I would give is that Raheem took it into the chin about the Kirk Cousins situation. Yeah, he did. Ultimately, yeah.
And you know what? As a man, that shows me that you're an effing man.
Yeah.
You screwed up, you take it on the chin, and then you keep moving forward. And that's what people are like, oh, fire Raheem. What is he going to do?
No, it's not.
You had a plan. The plan didn't work. You own up like, yeah, it didn't work out. We didn't make the playoffs. We coughed it up. And that's on me. But then you move on, and now you're looking forward. You can't look back, right? As much as fans want to look back, 6-3, we lost. Blah, blah, blah. Sports are fluid. Anything can happen this year. Let the old division rivals keep doubting us. Let the media keep doubting us. Just let it translate to the field. Get some W's. And let's get to the playoffs this year.
What's going on, Raph? So, man, we're coming up on the hour mark. Any closing words on the Kirk Cousins misleading drama?
I'm just eager to see the rest of the series to really give my opinion. And it's funny, you felt misled, but then you misled the Falcons as well. So it's like it's the kettle calling itself black, right?
Basically. Mm-hmm.
You did the same thing that you felt unjust by the organization. But at the same time, I tweeted out the photo, RG3 and then Kirk in the background.
Exactly.
This is a business, brother.
Yep.
Your time in the NFL is not guaranteed. And the fact that you've made as much money as you have, you should be thankful. You earned it because of how you played.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not saying you didn't earn it, but at the same time, like, come on, man. It's a business at the end of the day.
That's it, man. It's exactly that. It is a business, to say the least, man. Oh, man. I think that's going to conclude this.
Up, man.
Yeah, man.
I feel like I'm sweating out all the chips and salsa I had earlier. Yeah.
man. But definitely, this is going to close it out, man. We certainly appreciate everybody taking their time out of their Wednesday evening to tune in to another episode of Reporting Eligible to all 400 eyes at one point. We definitely appreciate everybody's, love and support of the channel. But with that, Bro Talk, let us know where they can find you, man.
You already know, at Dirty Bird Central for your long form content or short form. On YouTube and TikTok, daily posting there. Well, kind of. Life's been kind of busy, so I'm trying to get to it as best I can. And then, I still haven't changed my at BK2 Yeah. Give me the crap you want. I know.
You're good, man. You're good. But please, man, as you see on the ticker below, please subscribe to Dirty Bird Central, which that's Bro Talk's channel, and my platform, 95 North Falcons Talk Show, both found exclusively on YouTube. With that, man, of course, your boy, Berto, host of the 95 North Falcons Talk Show, and your official at Bleacher Report content creator for the Atlanta Falcons. We are taking a break from content creation on the Bleacher Report side. We're revamping a lot of things.
It just means more time with me.
Oh, boy.
Time with me.
Oh, man, which is awesome, which is great. But, yeah, look for us to come back full steam ahead in preparation for all of the preseason games. And, of course, I will be at every post-game reaction show this year for the Falcons as well. So hopefully
Berto will be in Atlanta too for training camp. Y'all go.
Oh, baby.
Go what's up.
Absolutely, man. We're definitely praying and wishing all of that stays into. Trucker Mike, what is going on? D Lawton, we appreciate your kind words. Donut, what's going on? Fat Boy, appreciate that. Great show, gentlemen, he says. Appreciate that very much. But until then, look for us back next Wednesday, 9 and 9:30. We'll let you know what times. Also, BK's tweets featured on the show. Yeah! Mama, I made it moment of the day. Oh, yeah, that was pretty sweet. That was pretty sweet. And hey, wait, before we go, how did that come about? What led to that?
So, what's crazy is I had an NFL Films person email me, and I didn't think anything of it. I looked at my phone. I said, NFL Films? I'm like, what is this? I'm thinking I've got some spam or something. And they introduced themselves and said, hey, I'm from NFL Films. We would like to use your tweet in the Netflix series Quarterbacks. And then they showed me the tweet. Do you give us approval to use? And I of course, said yes, right? I didn't think it would make the cut. I thought it would be put in the background or it just wouldn't get put up. And then yesterday, one of my lovely followers tagged me in it. And that was such a cool moment to see what I said be on a Netflix documentary specifically about football and quarterbacks. Our quarterback and Kirk Cousins. And that moment, hey, you guys know me as the optimistic guy. It takes a lot for me to say, you know what? It's time and it's done. I want to give everyone the opportunity that they deserve and are, some people aren't willing to give. But at that point, I was like, hey, Kirk, you gone.
Man, such a feel-good moment. And since we're in the mood of giving such a good talk, I had the honor of having 2 salads this past week.
Oh! Everybody, give him a round of applause. He ate lettuce for the first time in his life.
What the fuck is going on, dude?
Hey, the salads, the backwards cap on stream. What else?
It's the gift that keeps on giving. My son says about time. Go to bed. Pendejo. With that, we'll end the show. We'll see you guys live next Wednesday, 9:30. Peace, everybody.